Okay, everybody, warm welcome to you. Believe it or not, we're back at it again. And this week's show on the Drive Your Business live stream, we are going to start to talk about those nitty gritties. And I feel as a mentor and a coach myself that these things are not spoken about, especially when it comes to mindset, when it comes to wellness within oneself, self-love, self-respect, and all of those kinds of aspects. So what I did towards the beginning of the year is I reached out to a few people, and in particular, Paula Quincy, who's going to be our specialist for this series, and we're going to call it the Mind Shift series. She actually also reached out to me over on LinkedIn, and we started a dialogue, and immediately I could see that she's an expert within her field. She's gone through her own trauma in the past, but the beauty around what Paula's done is she's taken the trauma and she's actually extracted lessons. And through those lessons, she's built a business around what she currently teaches now, which is about having your self-respect, and not only that, building relationships with others around you too. So warm welcome to you. Tonight, we're going to kick it off because we're going to start talking about powerful mindset shifts that really help you get up and go. And Paula's going to share some of her insights and her knowledge with us. So I'm looking forward to this. A warm welcome to you, Paula, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Lucille. It's awesome to be here, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion.
Okay, fantastic. So am I, I'm not going to lie. Actually, just off camera, Paula and I were chatting about lifestyle and what is happening, and my 2021 has really kicked off, not only in a business sense, but also in my personal life, making huge changes. So as we were kind of going through all of those emotions, I automatically felt my body shift. So there were certain triggers within my body as we were talking off camera, Paula, that I knew that I had to look at, because it's an emotional pull as well as a sensible business move that I'm going to be making. But let's say, for instance, if there are people out there, and for those of people who are watching this and who might watch this in a day or two to come, how can we identify symptoms of stress or depression or any sort of angst around our decisions and our life? I know that we've just gone through COVID. A lot of people came to the end of the year thinking, you know what, it's a new year, let's celebrate. But a lot of us were taken aback because we felt those same feelings of frustration. Some of us were still in a depression for losing jobs or being retrenched or whatever the case may be. How can we identify that we are actually going through these negative emotions?
Now, Lucille, that is a very good question, because there's so much that's going on for all of us. Even though we're going through this together, we're experiencing it so differently. You know, we process things differently, we experience things differently. So I think the first most important thing is if you're not in sync with yourself. So a lot of us live in our heads. We're on that busy, be, we hamster wheel, and we're not in our bodies or in our hearts. So we're not in sync and connection with what's going on in our head and what's going on in our bodies. And that's often where the signs, or I call them the red flags, start coming about, when we are experiencing some form of stress or trauma or negative reaction to what's going on either inside of us or around us. So some of the symptoms could be irritability, not sleeping well. A big thing that's coming out is emotional snacking, especially with working from home. It's very easy to go to the fridge or the cupboard and snack on things, as opposed to what you would have done in the office, for example. Snapping at your kids, snapping at your partner or your friends or your family members, or even your colleagues for that matter. Just being moody, feeling down and depressed. Maybe even just feeling disconnected as a whole. You know, things that used to bring you joy before, or that you used to enjoy doing, you just couldn't be bothered anymore, and you're just not really finding joy in things anymore, or purpose or value of life in general.
Mhm. And these are symptoms that are easily identifiable, even by someone who has never gone through something like this, who's always been in that hamster wheel, that mindset of go, go, go. And another aspect to this, and I'm going to share a personal story, is one of my family members who was in travel suddenly found herself without a career, without a job, being retrenched. She almost, you could see her dementia start to kind of downward spiral. And not only that, she lost her standing within who she was and her identity. What would you say to people with regards to this, if they have lost their job, if they have been retrenched? What are the things that they should identify and be aware of first? And then what should they do? What sort of steps should they take?
So I think you've mentioned the key thing there is understanding that you've experienced a loss. We underestimate the impact of that loss because of what it does for us. We use it to define us. We use it to give ourselves an identity. It gives us purpose. A simple thing like going to the office every day gives us a purpose. We've got somewhere to go and something to do and a place to belong. And all of that has been taken away from us. So we're experiencing loss on so many levels, loss of freedom of movement, loss of, the social activities, engaging with others, all those kind of things that were familiar to us. So I think the first of all is accept that you're going through some kind of loss and some kind of grieving process, because everybody grieves differently. If you're feeling numb, and you're not feeling anything, you're not feeling joy, you're not feeling some sense of connection, you're not feeling some sense of belonging, some sense of identity, because we can suppress our feelings and our emotions, and we can go numb, and then we just start functioning on autopilot, as I call it, where we just do things because we do them and we're going through the motions, but we don't stop to question, well, why am I doing this? How is it serving me positively or negatively? Also look at signs, things that you've stopped doing that you used to do. Funny enough, one thing that I realized for myself when I actually made the time to sit down and do the exercise, one thing that I used to do for myself as a self-care, self-love sort of treat thing is I used to have bubble baths. And I would have music in the background, I'd read my book, I'd sip on a glass of wine, and I'd relax in a bubble bath. And I'd stop doing that, and I had to question, like, but why? Why have I stopped doing that? So look at things that you've stopped doing and ask yourself why. I mean, obviously there may be some very valid reasons like social distancing. But what are some of those things that you used to do that you've stopped doing potentially? And why have you stopped doing those things? Also ask for feedback, from friends or family or people that know you very closely, and say, have you noticed any sort of shifts or changes in my behavior or the way I'm responding and reacting and engaging? Because sometimes we're oblivious to those blind spots.
True. So that's a couple of the things that we can absolutely identify with and be aware of. One of the big things that you have mentioned is that self-love. If you've changed how you treat yourself, again, others are going to change the way they treat you, because that has, whatever happens inside happens outside, and that has a knock-on effect. I can absolutely agree with that. The other things that you've mentioned with regards to not only that, but changes in the way that you are appearing to others, how your relationship is, even to your children. And during this lockdown, a lot of parents have, because they've had to be teachers, they've had to be parents, and be friends at the same time. And it's a huge dynamic to try and balance going through the whole lockdown period. So how would a parent in particular, how could we approach this in a balanced way, especially when it comes to having to fall into all of those slots? What would you suggest we have a look at there, Paula?
So I think, first of all, take the pressure off yourself, okay? We are human and we make mistakes, and there is no such thing as the perfect person or the perfect relationship. It's how perfect can you be for each other, and how can you do the best that you can do with whatever your capabilities and resources are that you have available to you. And that it's okay. And some days you're going to have good days where you feel like you've got things in control, and other days you're going to feel like the world is throwing everything and the kitchen sink at you. Okay, it's normal, expect it. I think most important is having support structures in place and being able to tap into those support structures, being gentle and kind to yourself and showing yourself some self-care and self-love and self-nurturing when you need to, and that it's not selfish and you don't have to feel guilty about it. And I'm generalizing when I say woman, because a lot of women do feel guilty about having to be the perfect wife, perfect life, perfect mother, perfect career, perfect all of these things, and it's unrealistic. And communicate, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. It's okay to not be okay. We're human and we're not invincible. And I had to learn that myself, like you being a coach, thinking, well, I had to have all the answers and I had to support everybody else, but I wasn't giving myself some self-love and self-care. And until there was a sort of a defining moment that happened in my life that I had to go, hold on a minute, I need to start practicing what I preach to other people. And so I sent myself off to therapy for a few sessions just to have a sounding board and a different perspective to just help me process and work through a couple of things. And don't be ashamed and embarrassed about it. We all need help at some point. Some point we were all a beginner somewhere and we needed help to get to that next level, and it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you're saying. And I love the fact that you practice what you preach, because that shows that you're a good coach as well. One of those aspects is being vulnerable. And that's one of the key things for me, I found, to kind of let things go, is sharing like vulnerability with people, and especially those people that you trust. I think that is so key, because they will not only stand up and support you, but you get to actually offload a lot of your own emotional angst that you're going through as well. So I love that you practice what you preach. Also, here again, I just want to reiterate and I love the way that you actually said that, especially with parents and women, particularly. Being a woman myself, I can absolutely resonate with what you're saying. We want to be the perfect wives, the perfect moms, the perfect teachers, for that matter, as well, for our children. And sometimes we do get it wrong. And stress does affect us. Not only the financial stress sometimes, but also that mental stress, and trying to kind of spread ourselves so thin that we forget, we neglect our own ourselves. And that's something that I learned during COVID, in fact, is to how to look after myself. I had to take a huge step back because I was supporting so many people. I had to stop and say, you know what, where is my support for myself? And hence that's why this live stream started to come alive for me, and sharing knowledge and understanding, because there's a lot of people out there that desperately need someone, a sounding board, or just to hear that somebody else is going through something, so that they can also go kind of in their footsteps and work that success formula better within their own lives. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. I think that's awesome. All right, I do see we've got a couple of people popping on. If you are a part of the show, please go ahead, let us know if you are here by liking the actual post here on Facebook or on YouTube as well. We are streaming live on both channels. And then pop us a question. Paula has generously given us some of her time. And over the next six weeks, we are going to be having a regular slot where a Wednesday evening where we talk about everything around mindset, how to shift your actual perspective, not only for yourself, but also for those around you. And as I mentioned, Paula is a relationship expert. In fact, she's more than that. She's actually a mindset coach, and she's been through a lot. So at this point, Paula, I would like you to share a bit of your story. I found it a hell of a lot of inspiration when it came to me once I had gone through to your YouTube channel. And I was just dumbfounded with your story and how you managed to take something that was so negative and spin it around into a positive light and extract lessons. And that's what you built your business on. So, I get cold chills when I actually think about it, because that's exactly what we need to do, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking of going into mentoring or coaching in this type of field. Paula's story is going to touch your heart. So, Paula, I'm going to hand it over to you. If you can share a little bit of your story with us, please.
Sure. I call them life-defining moments, and I think we underestimate the power of doing, I call it a lifeline exercise, where you go back and you do your lifeline in terms of the highs and the lows of your life and what was going on inside of you and around you, and then how do you use those insights to carry you forward. So I always say my life started at age 7 because I don't really remember much before that, and that's because my mom died when I was 7 years old. And so I'm originally from Rhodesia, and back in those days, Rhodesia was at war, and my mom was killed by terrorists. She was in an airplane, and the airplane was shot down by terrorists. And at that age, you don't really comprehend what that means in terms of, when the parent sits down and says, well, your mom's not coming back. And like, you don't grasp it. You don't have that emotional maturity and that emotional vocabulary to kind of grasp the context. And so that was kind of the first life-defining moment. And then shortly thereafter, we moved to South Africa. And that's when my next life-defining moments started. And I was exposed and experienced sexual abuse as a child. And it kind of carried on from age sort of 8. And to be honest, I can't really remember the exact dates and times because I've blocked it. And it's not really something I want to kind of sit down and map out, to be honest. But
yes,
it was a period from around age 8 to probably around age 14, in different sort of ways or environments that I experienced sexual abuse. And as a result of that, it affected me emotionally and mentally in terms of body image and self-esteem. And so I started binge eating and purging as a way of control, because that was all the little environment that I could control. And obviously because the perception that I had around my body and life and relationships, and that's what love was about, and that's what relationships was about, and that's how that's what you did kind of thing. Until, and then as I grew up, which I only realized later after going through therapy, is I didn't know how to have healthy attachment in relationships. I didn't know what healthy connection was about because I'd never developed those skills. And I always tell the story that when my mom died, my dad might as well have died with her because he was emotionally unavailable. So I grew up in an emotionally unavailable home. And as a result, that's why I didn't know how to have healthy relationships and healthy connection until I reached another life-defining moment, which was I was in a 6.5-year relationship that had hit rock bottom. We were going for therapy, and our counselor referred us to Imago relationship therapy. So we went away on this couples weekend retreat to save our relationship. And Imago just had such a profound impact on me in helping me understand how my upbringing had influenced who I had become and my perspective on the world and what love and relationships looked like, and the string of failed relationships that I had behind me, including that one that I was in at that moment. And it was there that I'd kind of known, and I'd been dabbling with the idea that I needed help, but I didn't really know where to go or how to go about it. And I suppose the shame, the stigma, all of those things that come with it. But at that point, I knew that I needed to do something if I wanted my life to be different. And so I started therapy, and I started working through all of these things. And that's actually how I got into the work that I'm doing today. I initially there and then decided that this stuff is so profound that I wanted to share it with others, because life is too short to be miserable and unhappy in our relationships, which should be our biggest source of support and nurturing. And so I then, through my own therapy and healing, and through being trained up as an Imago relationship therapy educator and facilitator, that started my journey. So back in 2009, I started doing it part-time because I was working in corporate. And I started doing it on the weekends and evenings. And then I got to a point in 2014 where my newfound passion, so working with people and individuals and couples, overtook my corporate career, and I decided that I wanted to leave corporate and follow this full-time. So I've been doing it full-time ever since. And then along the way, I've done other...
Fantastic. Wow, it's so inspiring.
Yeah, and then that's how the journey started. And I've obviously done other accreditations and trainings.
I see we've got a bit of a glitch there, Paula.
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Oh, you're back with us. Sorry, we had a bit of a glitch there. I see. Oh,
It's
it's
the new
always
normal.
load shedding and all. Oh, it's terrible, I must admit. But yes, so you were saying about your accreditations.
Yeah, I was just saying over the years, I've obviously done additional accreditations. So I'm also an NLP life coach. I do behavior profiling, and I've also done Brene Brown's data lead training. And so now I call it playing. I like to play with individuals in the individual space, and I like to play with corporates around relationships with self, relationships in your personal space, and relationships in the workplace.
Okay, beautiful. All right. Again, for those of you who are watching and will be watching in the future, please, if you want to pop us a question, direct it even to in the comment section below. And like I said, we will be on here every Wednesday around 8:20 in the evening for the next 6 weeks. So you can actually tap into Paula's awesome insights as well as knowledge. And yes, I'm sure she'll help you to and guide you to actually shift and create a positive mindset. So tonight was really just our introduction. It's also just for you to understand exactly where those negative and those spiraling thoughts, 9 times out of 10, kind of make you feel really drained or stressed or anxious, and just highlighting those and listen to what Paula has said. Take some notes. I had actually forgotten to let you know that you should be taking notes going through the session, because there's a lot of good information that Paula has shared with us with regards to how to actually just kind of balance that mindset, especially if you are in a negative space at the moment, whether you're a parent or whether you're an employee has been retrenched, or whether you're just a mother or a father or someone that is going through a lot of stress and fear. Right now, what you can do is, number 1, be aware. Number 2, take steps or actions to actually get some help by, first of all, looking at yourself and then reaching out. And Paula is the perfect person right now for you to do that over the next 6 weeks, where we will be discussing various things pertaining to self as well as your other relationships and your mindset and your attitude going forward. All right, so with nothing else to do, I think we've already gone through to our 20-minute mark. Like I said, these are going to just be very short, powerful sessions. Thank you so much for taking part. For those of you who have popped on, again, if you like these sessions, come and join us next week. Alternatively, I'd like you to go ahead and share this video with anyone you feel that might need this information. If you know of someone that's been retrenched, or someone that is sitting in depression, fear, or anxiety, please go ahead and alert them around this particular video series, where Paula can help them over the next 6 weeks. Also, what we will be doing during the actual sessions is we will be giving away free resources. And not only that, we will also be giving away books that you can actually win. We're going to do that towards the end of the series. And the more that you share these videos, the more that you stand a chance of winning these books from Paula. There are 2 particular books which we will feature, and I will show out on the actual posts and updates that you can stand a chance to win going forward. Paula, won't you just let everybody know about your website and where they can go and grab some resources before we leave, please?
Yes, absolutely. So my website is paulaquincy.com, and I've got lots of free resources, either from a self-development point of view, in terms of evaluating your relationship or a relationship challenge to bring you and your partner closer together, how to overcome procrastination, and then also in terms of helping you from a self-development point of view in terms of the workplace. There's the behavior profile assessment that you can do, as well as some free ebooks that you can download as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so head on over to paulaquincy.com and go and tap into some of those free resources in the meantime. And from next week, what we will start to do is also let you know about various resources and download email type books that you can also start taking and practicing some things for yourself to start up leveling yourself, and to also just to change your mindset and to help you get through what you're going through at the moment. All right, that's it from everybody here. I'm just wanting to check and see if there is any comments that have come through. Okay, no, I do see there's a few likes. All right, so thank you very much for taking part this evening. Thank you for dropping past. I look forward to seeing everybody next week, Wednesday. Thank you, Paula. It's been great having you on board. Cheers.
Bye. Bye.